Hi students, in this video we will talk about Lab 4, the Plinko lab, and we'll give you a few demonstrations to help you to create this lab. So let's get started with part 1, the menu. In your menu you need to have 3 options. These options will be, as listed on Learning Suite, option 1, drop a single chip into one slot, option 2, drop multiple chips into one slot, and option 3, quit the program. So let's demonstrate that using our own Plinko program. So you can see here that I've created a menu with the 3 options that we just talked about. Okay. After any operation is complete, reprompts the user to select another operation. If an incorrect option is entered, you must reprompt the user to select another option. Okay, so let's demonstrate what that means. Anytime the user inputs something that's invalid or something that our program is not anticipating, the menu needs to reappear immediately. So for example, here we can see that option 1, 2, and 3 probably want the number 1, 2, or 3 input. Okay? So if I do something like the number 4, that's invalid, and my menu should reappear immediately. Same with 5, 6, or 7. Please note that we would like you to use integers for your options, and if you do so, we will not put any string values in to test your code with. Okay? So that's it for part 1, with one more thing. For part 1, only the quit operation needs to work. So that means anytime I type in 3, my program needs to end immediately. Okay, so let's talk about part 2, let the chips fall. This section requires you to implement the dropping of a single chip into one slot on the Plinko board. We have an animation here that helps us to understand and visualize what this Plinko function needs to do. Please note that your program will not look like this when it is completed. This is a separate application that we designed to help you to visualize the game. Okay? So let's say right here I've selected, let me just show you. Let's say I've selected option 1, drop a chip into a slot. We'll then ask the user, which slot would you like to drop your chip into? Okay, so that's where we're at with the animation. Let's say we select option 4. We're going to see our chip falling either left or right. Whether it goes left or right is going to be determined randomly. If you need more direction on that, information will be given in the help session. Okay, so we see that once our chip reaches the bottom, it falls into a slot with a corresponding money value. In this case, we won $1,000. Great. So let's say we want to try dropping a single chip into that same slot, just to see what it does. The first thing that we need to make sure our program does is we need to make sure that it's not saving our total earnings. Okay, so we clear that, and let's simulate it again. We'll see that the paths are different for the 2 chip drops, and this will probably be similar to how your program works. Because the motion of the chip is random, the paths should not be the same. Okay, so let's go back to the requirements found on Learning Suite. Okay, so we found part 1, and we saw how Plinko works, so let's just talk about the requirements. So one of the requirements is if the specified slot is not between 0 and 8 that the user tries to drop their chip into, immediately return the user to the menu. You may assume that any input will be in the form of the integer. Okay, so let's say I enter in the number 9. That should return me directly to the menu. It should not reprompt me right there in option 1. Okay, same thing with slot -1. It should return me immediately. Okay, great. So once our chip has reached the bottom and our single chip operation is completed, so let's say we drop a chip into slot 4, we need to report the earnings as shown here, which slot we ended in, and we need to return to the menu. Okay? You'll see here that I printed out the x coordinate of the chip as it fell. Okay? That's what this requirement right here means on Learning Suite. Okay? Just note that the format has changed since when I wrote this program. Okay, so we'd like your format to be done all on one line inside of square brackets. Okay. For the last part of Plinko, we would like you to be able to drop any positive number of chips into one slot. So you can imagine if the number of chips is non-positive, including the number 0, immediately return the user to the menu. So once we have determined that the user has input a positive number of chips, we're going to go ahead and drop the chips all into the same slot. So let's say, just go ahead and clear this. Let's say the user has selected slot 6, and we want to drop 3 chips, into slot 6. Okay, let's see where the first one goes. Let's see where the second one goes. And then let's watch where the third one goes. Okay. So all of your paths will be different for this, and they should be different each time you run it. This part will be a little bit different than part 2 because we want you to keep a sum of your total earnings. So a better example of that would be if you drop 3 chips into slot 6, how much did you earn total for those 3 chips? As well, we would like you to compute the average earnings per chip dropped. Another important thing to note is that if I say I want to drop 3 chips into slot 6, make sure that all 3 of those chips start at slot 6. That'll make more sense to you as you're programming this. Okay. So hopefully this has been helpful, students. A couple other problems that students frequently run into. Please make sure that your chip cannot fall off the board. What that means is if I drop my chip into slot 8 or slot 0, I need to make sure that my chip is not moving out here. So if my chip is dropped into slot 0, anytime it has an x-coordinate of 0, the movement will not be random. It will automatically move right. Just like if the x-coordinate of my chip is ever 8, it will move automatically to the left. Okay. Good luck, students, with this lab. Please note that we have a detailed description of how to earn 100% of your qualitative points on this lab. If you have any questions, feel free to ask the TAs. If you have any questions about this video, please let your professors know. Thanks for your time, good luck, and please pay attention to all of the requirements required for pass-off in this lab.